This is the Lenovo S340 14-inch laptop, and without a doubt, I can say that this is the best budget laptop to buy in 2020. And budget in the way that means cheap, not just a 3,000 ringgit one that is good value. There's no other competition out there that provides the feature set that Lenovo packs in the S340 at the same price. The base model comes in at just RM1600, and that's the one we have today. Inside, it packs a dual-core 4-thread Ryzen 3200U with Vega 3 graphics, 4GB of RAM, and a 128GB SSD. That has pretty much been the standard for laptops in this price range. Where the Lenovo sets itself apart from the rest of the bunch is in a few other key departments. First off, they have chosen to go with aluminium for the top cover, which gives the laptop a premium feel that others at this price just don't have. The design is also very cleverly done. Although it's around the same thickness as other laptops, Lenovo has used a tapered design at the edges of the laptop to make it look and feel a lot thinner than it actually is when placed on the desk or when picking it up. The display is also a step up from the rest, with very small bezels on 3 sides and a resolution of 1920 by 1080p. No other laptop at this price packs a full HD display, so there's another category where Lenovo stands out in. In terms of actual color and brightness, it can be classified as acceptable. The use of a TN panel makes the colors look more muted and flat, not to mention reduce the viewing angles of the screen. This is slightly remedied by the 180-degree hinge that makes finding the right angle much easier. The peak brightness is just about enough for a bright lecture hall, but if you plan to take it outside, prepare to fashion yourself a makeshift sunshade. Back to the positives, the keyboard is very well laid out with nice long key travels and minimal depth flex, which makes typing much more satisfying. That's not even the best part. The keyboard has a 3-stage backlight, a feature that was only previously present on laptops well above 2,000 ringgit. Another creature comfort, a physical webcam slider. No longer would you paranoids have to place an ugly piece of tape over the camera to give yourself a peace of mind. Lenovo has you covered here. In terms of the webcam itself, this is what the front camera looks and sounds like. Moving down from the keyboard, the trackpad has a reasonable size and tracked fairly well. Palm reduction was fine during my use, and if I had any complaint, is that the button clicks can be a bit hard. But that should go away from a couple weeks of good use. Keeping with the theme of premium feeling, the whole wrist rest area is coated with a soft touch finish, but I am skeptical on how long this will last. The two side-firing 2-watt speakers get loud without distorting, but sounds quite hollow with little separation for the highs and mids. Moving on to ports, we see a healthy selection for a 2020 machine. On the left, we have a barrel plug for power in, no USB-C charging here, a HDMI port, though the website does not actually specify which variety this port is, but I doubt anyone will be using this machine to power a 4K 120Hz display. To recap, you would need HDMI 2.0 for that. Right next to that is a Type-C port. It doesn't support Thunderbolt as expected, just USB 3.1 Gen 2. But that does still mean you can adapt it to other display outputs like DisplayPort or even another HDMI. A combo headphone and microphone jack ends it for us on the left side. On the right side, you will find an SD card slot and 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports. Powering the device on and waking it from sleep is almost instantaneous thanks to the SSD. Battery life is good, with about half a dozen Chrome tabs open, one of which is streaming HD video, File Explorer, and a couple of Word documents. While the screen is at less than 50% brightness, the battery lasts for about 5 hours. It does mean you will need to bring out the charger if you're having a full day at school, but very respectable for this price point, especially since it recharges in just an hour and a half with the included 60 watts fast charger. In terms of what the machine can do, light Photoshop and video editing is possible, though toss in a handful of effects and transitions and it will start to get overwhelmed. CAD is the same story. Simple polygons and objects are fine, but physics simulations will slow down the machine significantly. This is only because of the limits of the CPU and not the cooling system. The cooling is perfectly adequate for this chip, with the fans barely ramping up, and even when it does, it is not particularly loud. I do recommend that you use the laptop in dust-free environments, as for some reason, Lenovo has decided to go with Torx screws instead of the standard Phillips head. This will make it harder for some to access cleaning the fans, and also to upgrade the RAM and storage if you ever need to. That's not going to stop me, however. Inside, we see that there is one free RAM slot, with the other 4GB soldered to the main board. There's also an empty 2.5-inch bay, and the included M.2 SSD is not soldered, meaning you can always swap it out at a later date. A friendly tip: the manufacturer cannot void your warranty if you decide to upgrade your own machine, even if the warranty void sticker is torn. In Cinebench R15, the Ryzen 3200U manages to score 357, and the Vega 3 graphics gets 28.11 frames per second. This translates to it being just barely able to run Minecraft on low settings, not exactly a gaming machine. On a side note, my unit did come with a wireless mouse, and one of the nicer ones out there. But checking back on their website now, it no longer seems to be the case, so your mileage may vary. The review ends with me giving very strong recommendations for this machine for anyone on a tight budget, or people who only use their laptops for basic everyday tasks. Just because you can spend more doesn't mean you should. Buy wisely based on your use case, and I suspect with this new refresh, it is more than enough for the average user.